Hey, best friend, how are you?
Hey, best friend, how are you? I'm gonna say today that I'm doing great, just
Okay.
because I know that the vibration that does when you speak things in affirmation. Um,
hmm
but yeah, how are you doing though?
I transparently, I am doing the best that I can. It's a good day. Like I feel good, but
Mhm.
I'm sad because I lost my baby doggy yesterday.
Done,
So
done.
really rough
Yeah.
with emotions because I've had her since like 2007. So that's like all of my young adult life as I know it. So it's been emotional,
Of
but
course.
retrospectively, it's today. So far so good. I only cried for like a couple of minutes.
Yes.
So yeah. Other than
Well,
that, you
it's definitely been a tough, kind of like a tough week, so to
know.
say, with the emotions. And it was just a full moon though. I wonder if this came with the full moon energy. This could have
You're
been
right. It was a
this
full
could have been
moon,
the
and I
full
did
moon
not.
energy.
I
Um,
didn't. Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I was about to say I didn't mean to talk over you, but yes, that you said that. Yes, because I knew a full moon was coming, and usually I'll participate with like my crystals, sometimes water, but my singing bowls, and
Mm,
if anything, I'll at least sit outside that night and just sit sometimes. Oh no, I'm thinking about my dog again because she'd be out there with me. Sometimes knowing what I'm doing, other times like what are we doing out here? So maybe that has something to do with the energy that has been over this week. We'll see. But
um,
how are you? I know you said the energy has been a little, but how are you dealing with that?
it's been rough for me. I think for me, it's been me needing to get more outside, especially with this damn COVID and shit. A
hmm
bitch been working from home. I got my children. It's been a little tough. Definitely having me in a more aspect of my mental health and making sure that my mental health is okay.
hmm
Yesterday I just confirmed to go see a therapist. She's
hmm
young, she's Afro descent, she's within our category, just to kind of get my mind right. Like, yeah, you could be strong and you could be the strongest person, but just because you strong don't mean that you don't need therapy, don't mean that you don't need to talk about it, because those
Absolutely.
things can be very, very, very beneficial, and it has been beneficial for me. So that's some of the things that I've been realizing that I'm having some more intrusive thoughts, and they'll be quick. And that just goes to show you, like, as much as I study and as much as I know myself in that way, it's kind of like I'm appreciative that I could identify those things. So I'm in gratitude at the same time, but ultimately those are things that I would like to change. I just don't want to be in my mind mentally having those type of thoughts when I know I could work on it. Like, I noticed that when I meditate, I can control those thoughts a little bit more. That's why I feel like the meditation is so beneficial. But I feel like if I could talk about it, get another person's perspective,
hmm
then may be able to identify and see things that I can't see. um then I can go work on those things and kind of help
Absolutely.
that intrusiveness, telling
Yeah,
me where those type of things may stem from.
right. You want to get to the point where it's like no negative thoughts or energy can even penetrate your space. But
Hmm.
it takes time, it takes work. And like you said, the blessing is like you recognize it and then you move forward to actively do the things to put you in a better position. You're not just sitting in it. So I thank
Hmm.
you for that. I've done therapy as well. And I tell everybody that the conversation comes up with, it is the best thing ever. If I could have
Hmm.
started it earlier in life, I wish I would have. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like there doesn't even have to be anything necessarily wrong, quote unquote. Sometimes you want that person that's outside of your comfort zone, to give you unbiased opinions, and sometimes not even for them to give you an opinion, sometimes for them to just be still, be a listener, you know what I mean,
Mhm.
and objectively come up with something. Um, and so it's a great thing. I wish, not that I wish, but at the same time, like I think it's something, if you haven't tried it, you should definitely move forward with experiencing it at least once or however many times you can. It's a beautiful thing.
Yes, I told you when I was in therapy, I was like, this shit changed my life. I was
Yeah.
coming to you like, bitch, this is what we
Yeah.
talked about today. So this was what was going on, and they telling me this, and I had this type of childhood. And it's not just to point out negative things within yourself. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It's just an ability to see why you are certain ways. What things could have happened to
Mhm.
you as a child that may cause you to respond in this fashion or respond this way. It helps you
Absolutely.
become aware of that in the source. So now these things in a way become like a trigger for you, basically.
Absolutely.
And you can
Absolutely.
acknowledge it and say, well, maybe I need to do it like this instead of doing
Correct.
it like this. Or maybe I should think about this, then thinking about this. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And so,
Or now that I know why I do this, now let me decide how I want to move forward. Because once you
exactly.
realize why you do something, the why changes things for me at least.
It
It's like,
does.
okay, I did this because of this. I'm over that. I understand that. Now let me move forward. And it
Hmm.
really makes a big difference. Absolutely.
Yeah. So that was essential for me. Anyway, she gave me a call. I talked
Okay.
to her for about probably maybe 3 minutes, four
Mm-hmm.
minutes. And I pretty much went in there telling her what I needed. Like,
Mm-hmm.
look, this is, and she was like, that's wonderful. She was like, seems like you already kind of got your head where you need to be and what you need to work on. For me, I also realized not just the intrusive thoughts, but my lack of consistency in things,
Mm-hmm.
like just working on that and realizing that, like, you have a difficulty with consistency, and sometimes you see those things and people make it look so simple, like, oh, it's just consistency, keep doing the same thing. But consistency can be that shit could be equivalent to a sin, for real. Just
Mm-hmm.
not being able to contribute and be consistent in the things that you set your mind to do, that'll lead
Mm-hmm.
to a place of, eventually, just a lack of consistency could lead you into a place of constantly running the same motion over and over and over again. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely. Mm.
yeah. So for me, it's just like, I need to get consistent with things that I put my mind to. Like, I realized that just in the habit of drinking water, like, I
Mm-hmm.
particularly like drinking my gallon water a day. And so I can do my full gallon, them big jugs that I got. I could do that
Yeah.
probably maybe for 2 weeks. But after that, I get tired. I notice
Mhm.
that subconscious habit, and I have to change it up or I won't drink the gallon. And so for
Mm.
me, I noticed that, and I was like, and I questioned myself, oh, well, why you can't be consistent? And it's even in these little behaviors. So it has to stem from somewhere, something that I
Absolutely.
picked up somewhere. So I'm trying to figure that out so I could work on that.
Yeah, you said something with that one. I'll leave it
Hmm.
right there. Because that that one penetrated me. I was like, oh Jesus.
Yeah.
Um hmm so I girl, listen, I'm with you. I can relate to that 100%. It's something that I have been actively working on
Hmm.
for over a year. But it's like, for me, I'm not gonna say slow progress, but it's definitely something that is continuous for me. Like, I have to continuously be mindful of that, or I will fall off track with that. Which is why I was telling you, I'm even proud of both of us for continuously moving forward with Hey Best Friend podcast, because it's
Yes,
something we've been
yes.
wanting to do for a long time, a very long time, and we just didn't because of inconsistencies. So
Inconsistency.
yeah.
And we've been holding out on this for y'all for too long. For
Yeah.
too long. We was talking about this in what, 2017?
Yes. So, that's not on y'all, that's on us, but it's just a image of progress. And just continuously, start. It's really getting started. that's, I don't know why, but it's like the hardest part, just the
It
getting
is.
started.
It
Because
is.
once you get started, it's like it's something that you wanted to do. So of course you're going to be eager to continuously do it. It's
Hmm.
just getting started.
Getting started. And I think it's a way for us to hold each other accountable as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think in
Mm-hmm.
that fashion, I know for me, it's like not wanting to let the other person down either. Like we both been saying we want to do it. Let's stay consistent. Let's keep doing it. Let's keep pushing it through. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? And I think
Mm-hmm.
it's just that's the outlook really at the end of the day when it comes to anything. Just
Mm-hmm.
period, just getting started, even when it comes to so-called New Year's resolutions
Mm-hmm.
and you working out and then all of a sudden you fall off. That's because you can't stay consistent.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
can't stay consistent. And once you master the behavior of staying consistent, you'll be able to accomplish anything.
Absolutely. But to say to like the New Year's resolution, that's something that I don't really partake in.
Me neither.
Not because I don't feel like I can't stay consistent, but on the aspects of what I find more helpful for myself is the vision boards. So
Hmm.
that's something I remember, what was it? Not this previous New Year's, but the New Year's prior. I was at home by myself and I worked on my vision board. I brung it in by myself, worked on my vision board, and everything that I put on that board came to fruition that year.
And
In one
manifest.
way
It
or
was a
another.
visual.
Hmm.
Yeah, that type of manifestation technique probably works best for you. You need a visual. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? It's no different. When you manifesting, it's no different than learning. You have to see
Hmm.
what ways or tactics of manifesting works for you.
Hmm. It's
But
exactly.
yeah, that was that imprint for you, that memory imprint. You was just seeing it every day. So now your mind is working in a fashion where this is me, this is what I'm doing. It's a constant
This,
reminder to your subconscious. It don't have no
but
choice but to manifest.
right, but you know what? I didn't even have mine in a position where I could see it every day. That's
Mm,
what was so like once I
amazing.
was back on it, I was like, I pulled it out one day and I was like, oh my goodness. Like it was really one of those moments, like every single thing on there came to be. And I was just like, wow, it was a very powerful moment for me
Yeah, that's
because
powerful.
yeah, it wasn't even up to where I could see it every day. In the beginning, it was, and it moved its way around my space. And I just so happened to pull it out, and I was like, wow. So, yeah, definitely. But
Mm.
definitely. All right. Well, do we want to go ahead and roll the dice and, see what we're going to get into today?
Yes, we're gonna roll the dice. It's time to roll the dice. I'm gonna say that like that every time. It's time to roll the dice.
All right. Let's see. Hmm. Are you comfortable with being uncomfortable?
Are you comfortable with being uncomfortable?
All right.
That drives a lot of different things. Are you comfortable with being uncomfortable?
It does. It really does. I always, my brother could attest to this. I've always told him, like, once you get complacent in life, I feel like that's where your troubles come.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's one of those things where like the beauty of life is the consistent working at it, the consistent having the opportunity to do something else. Now once you get in
Mm-hmm.
that position where you want to just be where you were yesterday and the day before, then it's like you're wasting the time that you have, because again, none of us know how much time we have. So and it just puts you in a place of not actively working towards something bigger and better. So yeah, that definitely comes to mind with that. What about you?
Are you comfortable with being uncomfortable? I think you hit it on the head with the definition that you gave, but
Mhm.
I think you're right when you said that that can get dangerous. It's a lot of things that can get dangerous, apparently,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
that gets dangerous because it's like when you become when you become comfortable,
Hmm.
then you have the consistency, which then leads to complacency, which then leads to a lack of drive. And I
Hmm.
think that everybody should have some type of ambition to themselves. Nobody
Yes.
gonna give you nothing.
Amen.
You know what I'm saying? You got to get out here and work. Some people may have been put on a better platform than others, but you
Mm-hmm.
still have to work for what it is that you need. And so when you say, are you comfortable with being uncomfortable? I don't think a lot of us are comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Naturally, we a lot of us may not be, but again, sometimes we do what's unnatural. Sometimes people do what's unnatural to them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so people do sit into, you see people who will sit in, depressions. You see people who will just sit in a negative situation, an unhealthy situation. And that's because they are used to the dysfunction.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes it just seems like sometimes you'll hear people be like, oh, that's just life though. No, it's not. That's just
Mm,
your life because
mm,
you're allowing yourself to be there. But that's not just everyone's experience.
It's
That
your
just
reality,
doesn't
not
have
mine.
to. That doesn't just have to be what you continuously go through, but you allow yourself to, because that is what you're sitting in that experience. So yeah, I have a mm, yeah.
That one, you said something with that one. You gonna continue to allow yourself to be in that, and so that's why. And I think it affects those type of people who are hard to change. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Are you
Mhm.
comfortable with being uncomfortable? No, I'm not comfortable with being uncomfortable because that creates change. And I like what I see right now. And this is just what I want. I don't want nothing else. Those are closed minded people.
Hmm.
I don't want nothing else. So no, I'm not uncomfortable with being comfortable. Even that shows in your relationships. You
Yes.
know what I'm saying? I've been in that space where I was in a relationship. I didn't even fucking like the person. I was just in it because I was like, oh well, you know, I was just gonna stay. I don't
Yeah.
want to be with nobody else because I don't want to have to start over. And that's
Mm.
just gonna oh my God. And I already put in
Fear.
all this time, fear,
Fear. That's
because, and what are you afraid of? What is the fear? The unknown.
and is your fear so strong that you will stay in an uncomfortable position because you rather have control
Mm,
over in the position that you are now, because it's you know it, rather than experience to just jump off the porch and
jump
try to do better,
exactly.
try to have better. And sometimes the fear, a lot of times the fear is what holds people back
All the time, the
all the
fear.
time. Yeah, you're right.
All the time, it's fear that holds you. It may not be just legitimate fear, like, oh my God, I'm just afraid of what everybody's going to think. It could be
Right.
fear just in the smallest breath, but it still leads back to fear at some point.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I agree.
And that, looks different in different people,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
ultimately it is just fear. And I, like I was saying, that was the fear. You're right, that was the fear. I don't want to start over. I was comfortable with toxicity, one.
Mm-hmm.
I was comfortable with being uncomfortable. I mean, I was comfortable with being comfortable, two. And then in the same breath, I was comfortable in being talked to any type of way. I was
Mm.
comfortable with being argumentative. I was
Mm.
comfortable with fighting, being physical. I was comfortable in that until it
Now,
came to a point where I was like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
right.
It took me to have my son. It took me to have another human being to say, "Bitch, what the fuck? What the fuck
Mhm.
you got going on? This right here ain't it.
Right, right.
You shouldn't be taking care of no nigga, bitch. You 20, you 21.
Yeah.
You 20, you 21, 20, taking care of a whole man. How you sound? I wish Shitty Girls was back out then. Listening to their music would have had me realize some shit.
You retarded. Now, let me ask you this though. Now that you're not in that position, why do you think you were so comfortable in that?
um, To be honest, I think it was my immature mind.
Mm-hmm.
I think majority of it was my immature mind and what I thought I knew about life.
Mm-hmm.
Because you figure in that relationship, I went from being taken care of by my parents and being in a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
It's a difference when you in a like shout out to those relationships that you with your high school sweetheart and y'all been together since y'all been kids and y'all really pushing and going through it. But it's a difference when you in a relationship as a child being taken care of by other people and you in a relationship and you out in the real world because everybody not equipped to handle that real world.
Amen. Hallelujah. Sha-na-na-na-na.
And so for me, that's what that was. It was my
Yes.
immature. It was my immature mind. Um,
Mm-hmm.
that was majority of it. And so that in that same breath, let me just kick this jewel real quick. And I'm gonna go back to what I was saying. But that's why you have to, for those people who may have been in a situation when they was younger and they look back and they kind of still resent it and it's affecting they every day, the things that they doing, you gotta learn to be easy with yourself because your mind now was a complete different mind then. And sometimes
Amen.
sometimes we allow those things that we did in our past to hinder us from moving forward. But that's not who you are today. That's not who I
Amen.
am today. You know what I'm
Amen.
saying? I had an immature
Amen.
mind. Shit, I ain't know no fucking better. I was with a nigga just because I was with a nigga. I ain't had to think about paying bills. I ain't had to see what type of man you was to your mama because I ain't really give a fuck. My mind wasn't on that then. I didn't pay attention to the relationship you had with your mother to determine that would determine how that would affect me because that wasn't my focus then. I wasn't
Right.
worried about that then. You feel what I'm saying? So that in that breath, you know what I'm saying? Just dealing with somebody in that element and in that vibration and allowing that to affect me and
Mm-hmm.
not realizing that those were elements that I should be looking for in a man.
Hmm.
And
So, mhm.
no, go ahead.
So you were saying be patient with yourself, and so I started snapping. Now, you know this. I try to be very patient with myself.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because if I get overwhelmed with myself, like it's going to stop and I'm just not going to do it. And it's just a wrap.
Right.
And I have like that hard block in between that. But I try to be very patient with myself, even in the aspect of what you were saying. Like, we are continuously evolving. We have to be mindful of how much we let past situations control our current and our future. Like, did that situation really have that much power? You know what I mean? Like, you have to reflect on those things because it's exactly what you said. I am not that anymore. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I've grown, I've experienced, I've let go. And it's
Right.
just that. Like, it's like you have to allow yourself sometimes, the being too hard on yourself can really be, again, like we were saying, it can really be just what stops you. Like, sometimes the only thing stopping you is yourself. And we have to be able to um move on, to move past things.
And I want to second that because this just came to my spirit. Not only that, but also having the ability to identify
Mm-hmm.
that you're in a constant pattern.
Yes.
You have to be able to identify that because some people don't even realize that they have issues with change or they
Mm-hmm.
have issues with the unseen. Like some people just think that it just has to be like, oh my God, this is just the type of person I am. This is the luck that I got drawn in this lifetime. No, at the end of the day, you are attracting what it is that you are going through. So you have to realize that you are comfortable with a certain comfortability, whether that be you are comfortable with dysfunction, no matter how much you talk about it, you complain about it. If you
Mm-hmm.
continuously keep dealing with dysfunction, you are comfortable in dysfunction at some point because you are
Absolutely.
not taking the steps to break that comfortability with the dysfunction.
Agreed.
You see what I'm
Agreed.
saying? And even in that way, I am comfortable with being treated this way. Yes, this may cause me or ruin my whole day and things like that by going through this situation. But at the end of the day, at some point, you are comfortable. I was comfortable with it. I was
Mhm.
comfortable with, you know, going through that and constantly arguing. Like I said earlier, I was comfortable with that, even though it was stressing me to fuck you out.
But do you think that was more so of a control aspect more than you actually being comfortable? Because they can, to me, really mirror each other. Like it's a thin line. When we talk about like how we have relationships with someone, right? Um, Sometimes it's not that I'm comfortable. Sometimes it's that I know what to expect and I can control this situation a little bit. Not that I can control the
Mm,
person, but if this happens, then I know I'll do this. If this happened, then I know I could just, and then he'll do this, or she'll do this, or they'll do that. You know what I mean? It could be
mm.
really be more of a control thing sometimes. You just trying to have control of the situation.
That is a good point. That is a good point that you made. And I think with that, if, with the control thing, don't you think that somebody gets to a point though where they're like, hey, when is enough gonna be enough?
Absolutely. But that's what I'm saying. Like they've already reached that point. It's like enough is enough. But I know this person. You know what I'm saying? I know these people. I know this situation. And because it's familiar to me, then I'm going to allow myself to be a little uncomfortable, but I know how I'm gonna leave here. I know how I'm gonna, in this conversation, and it's people just, I know it seems crazy, but for a lot of people, it could be the most minor situation of how you allow someone to talk to you, right?
Mm,
It's like, I'm uncomfortable with you talking to me a certain type of way. However, I know that you're not going to do it long. So I'm just going to let it go.
mm,
And it's like, no, this is how I feel. It may be uncomfortable for me to express myself to you, but this is how I feel and we need to do something else. But it's literally the smallest things. It could really be the smallest things. So that's why I say like what level of control is it for you? Um
mm. You think so? You think that at some point I was dealing with that because of the control that I could have over the situation.
within a particular situation I do.
Mm,
Because you are a person like you like to be aware of every facet of something, right?
hmm.
So if you know you what you did, you knew the person in a particular way, you knew, everything about them, their reasoning of doing things. And so it's like, you're here, I'm here. This is not my ideal situation, but I know what you bring to the table. I know what I bring to the table, whether that's financial, whether that's money, you know what I'm saying? Whether that's intimacy, whether that's just having somebody there, it could, whatever it may be. I think that a few of those things you were reliant on in a particular, not reliant.
Mm.
Yes, maybe reliant on,
Relying
or
on is
just,
appropriate now that I'm thinking about it. Like
or
just,
just,
and even though it was a dysfunctional and toxic reliant, it was a reliant. I'm relying on you because I know you. I know you. So
yeah.
I'm relying on you. I don't have to get to know somebody else. I don't know that.
Yes, okay, so that part of it, right? I don't have to get to know someone else. So I'm reliant on you. I'm just here in this uncomfortable position because I already went through that phase with you. But the reality of it is, what's stopping you from not wanting to get to someone else? Is that
Fear.
fear? Yeah, exactly. Is
It's
that
it's it's
fear?
it's it's fear of the unknown, being that it is unknown. That's what it is. I think even for the people who say in some sense that they're looking for a certain something in a relationship, well, for those who do find a relationship and
Mm-hmm.
it is something that can be beneficial to them, or you have some women that push certain men away, due to a certain something based off of fear. You say you want this, but it's not really what you want because it's
I
new.
agree.
Because it's
I
new.
agree.
I could I could
Child.
I could feel that.
Um, Listen, yeah, you said something with that. I'll be on the phone, we be talking, and I'll just be like, whoo. And then again, it's like, just leave it right there, Jazz.
You need to share. Share. Let me know what you're thinking. Let me know
I
what you're
know.
thinking.
But
Share
it's
with
almost
me.
like, I can't tell you what I'm thinking if I want to allow myself to think about it. It's
No.
like, oh my God. I I don't know if they have some type of thing, like if they have some type of exercise. I don't know. I've been thinking about trying acupuncture.
Mm.
Acupuncture. I don't know why, but it's been kind of like heavy in my energy lately. I've been seeing it everywhere, and it's a old technique, but I don't know why I feel like I need to try it, but it is, I have one day I will break it. I'm telling y'all, I will break this subconscious thing that I have, but, and I'm not even going to tell y'all what it is because we know how I describe it. I want to stop describing it as that, but oh my, it just took effect in my life, and it's prevalent, I,
Mm.
it's just strong because even when you said that, I just, it touched me. I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ, hallelujah.
Mm.
Because it was just, it made me feel uncomfortable. Um,
It
like,
made you feel uncomfortable.
yeah.
That's a good identification right there. It made you feel uncomfortable.
So then of course, me being me, I'm like, oh shit, why are you feeling that? And then as soon as I ask myself the question, it's like, it's okay, girl, just let it go.
Mm. You don't even want to deal with it. You don't even.
Exactly.
No, you gotta deal with it. We gotta deal with that shit. That's something. That's some peeking to come out. You're right. Maybe when you do have acupuncture, because they put that shit in the middle of your forehead and your third eye too.
Yes, yes.
That
Um,
shit can awaken that bitch.
and it's been having my spirit lately. Like, you need to try this. And I'm one of those people, I try a little bit of anything.
Yeah, I would want to try acupuncture too. Anything for well being, I'm all with it. Let's do it. Anything with well being. I was actually listening to Bob Proctor, and
Mhm.
he was saying also too, just to throw this into here, it's also the paradigm
Mhm.
change, shifting the paradigm of becoming uncomfortable. So like one thing or exercise that he is writing with your less dominant hand,
Okay.
and keep writing with it, because you notice that when you write with your less dominant hand, of course, what do you do when you first write with it? You what?
Ex-
Uncomfortable.
yes, you're uncomfortable. You're exercising that opposite part of your brain.
Exactly. You uncomfortable. It's something of an uncomfortability. And sometimes just with, are you comfortable with being uncomfortable, and why that is a no? Because some people don't even really truly understand what that may look like,
Exactly.
and how beneficial being uncomfortable can be for you. We not saying, oh, you in an uncomfortable situation because you living in this type of home. No, that's not the uncomfortability that we talking about. And to
Right.
some extent, just to address that, you uncomfortable because you in a certain type of home. Do you always find yourselves in these type of positions? Because then at that point, you're not uncomfortable with being in that home. You comfortable with just being from home to home in uncomfortability to where it's bothering your spirit.
Right. So what else? But what's fascinating though? Like, as much as like my subconscious, like if I'm trying to think something through sometimes, I'll just stop it. And I have not always been like this. Well,
You might have
I
and
don't know.
just didn't realize it.
But I'll say I know the part of my life where it got stronger, and that was high school.
Mm.
That, like, that block became gorilla glue, cemented wall around a barrier that was already there. But that first barrier I wasn't aware of, but that second barrier I was aware that I was building it. But I'm also the same person that like to do things spontaneous. I'm
Mm.
also the same person that wants to try every extreme sport. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
to me, it's like really a contradiction. And it's like that part of me that tries it is who I am. They're both
Mm.
who I am, but I feel like they're higher and lower vibrations of the reality. I would prefer like I enjoy the part of me that is spontaneous, that wants to
Mm.
try these extreme things. I could tap into those easily, like it's like second nature, but it's just as much second nature for me to avoid something.
Ooh.
And so
Ooh.
it's like, you talking about a migraine. It's like, girl,
Yeah.
you know,
Like,
I'm literally,
shit.
yes. And I'm aware of it,
That's a
Um,
bit. That's a blessing though that you even aware of that. Because some people are not aware of it. That's why I said some people are not even. That goes back to what I was saying earlier. Some people are just not aware of, that they're in a certain comfortability.
yeah,
Kind of
but
like you said, you just pointed out to me, like, you had control. That's
mhm,
what you knew. And in the same sense, I was what? Uncomfortable with being uncomfortable. That's
mhm,
what I knew as a control. Being in control was what comforted me.
mhm, mhm.
So I think that that's a blessing that you could realize. I know that this is something that I need to work on.
Yes. But so the next step is, okay, like, it. You keep saying you know it, but what are you gonna do about it? And I'm not there.
Mm,
Like, I'm not there. I'm not to the
you'll
point
get
where I'm
there.
like, it's time to do something about it. Like, and I'm not gonna say that. Like, I do feel like it's time to do something about it. But what is that something? It just hasn't come to me yet.
It'll come to you. So let me pose this to you. You made a statement and you said it got stronger for you. And I'm about to go a little deep. So you said it got stronger for you in high school. Why? What what significant took place for that to become, because if you're saying that you don't want to address certain things as easy as it is to not address certain things, what took place to cause that you didn't want to address whatever situations was going on?
Mm. Girl.
What, like, and
No,
you
but
don't
okay,
necessarily have
I'm
to say the
thinking about it.
exact, you don't have to necessarily say the exact situation,
Yes.
but it the in particular the effects that it had on you.
Okay, so I will say this. So around that time, I think that mentally I was already in a space where I was like, okay, you're a young adult and it's time to start doing things different. Because when I was in middle school, I was, in my mom's opinion, a badass child.
Right.
Like, she just got to the point where she was like telling the school, don't fucking call me. Like, if she's gonna be suspended for this week, just send her home. You know what I mean? Like, she's over it. And I never imagined myself to be that child. But literally I was getting in trouble for everything that I was doing that I was enjoying, like things I was having fun for. And I just felt like I was in that space where it was like nothing I could do was the right thing to do. Cause I would be so
Mm,
baffled of why I was getting in trouble. It didn't make sense to
really?
me. It made no
Mm,
sense to me. So I'm like, okay, I'm enjoying myself in school. I'm kikiing. Now I'm in the office. I'm getting suspended because I'm a disruption. Like, damn, I can't laugh. Like, it was just, it was crazy stuff. And it just was happening back to back to back.
and so
Okay,
you
so
think,
that was that. So then it was time to go to high school and we moved. My parents got a divorce. We moved and I was at that school for a year. I went to, that school for a year and it was very uncomfortable to me because I didn't know anybody. I was so close to what I knew, where everybody knew me, where, I was comfortable. And then we
mm-hmm,
up and moved. And not only was it a move, it was a different dynamic in our home. It was a different dynamic for school. I'm a young girl. Ninth grade is like a pivotal point. And so I think it was just too fucking much. Then I went to school and I had a lot of hating ass bitches. Like,
You did.
it was like,
You did. We had to roll up on a couple of them bitches.
and I was into me again. I was in this space where, what's the problem? I don't talk to y'all. I don't look at y'all. I don't care about y'all. Why don't y'all like me? You know? And so again, I'm in that space of why. I was talking to, I remember this nigga name that I was talking to, but he's irrelevant as fuck. And I was talking to him, and there was another girl who was trying to, you know how it go. And we live close together. So of course we spend a lot of time together. And I am the girl who will hang out with the guys and just kick it, you know? Right. And that backfired on me because I wasn't used to guys trying to make something seem like something it wasn't. So then he was like, I'm like, who did what? Because I wasn't there. And then everybody was like, you know how young kids is. Oh, well, I heard da 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 da. And that was too much for me because I was like, I don't even like motherfuckers like this. And we just kicking it. And this is what you got to say. You know what I mean? Like, right. So then I was like, I ain't talking to nobody. And so then we end up moving again, like a year later. So, and then I came to this school, and the high school I graduated from, which was North, majority white people. That was already also something for me. So it's like all of these things at this pivotal moment.
Different component. Yeah, when you break that shit up.
Yes, it was fucking too much. I was overwhelmed.
You were
and then
overwhelmed.
It was like, I came out here and I'm dealing with white people that's racist. I feel like I'm living in a whole foreign territory. And the way I like to wear my nails and the way I like to wear my hair was viewed as, I was like ghetto in a sense of less than. You know what I mean?
But let's just be clear though. That was the case, but you turned all of them bitches out at your school.
And whether they want to say it or not, but
that's just what it is. Because they started doing it after the fact, and that's just what it was. Because they was not living that way.
This is accurate. But, you know, even though I ended up seeing that, I went through a lot. And then I was like, dating, bitch. And that was stressful.
Yeah. I think for you, it was a way for, now that you break it down the way you do, I think it was a way for you to cope.
That my was relationship? Coping.
No, you're just all of it. Just the point of you,
the blockage.
Just the blockage. It was a way for you to cope. That was a way for you to protect your emotional self. Is to not deal with it.
And then mind you, I was a badass in middle school, right? Now in my neighborhood where we grew up with, y'all, I was gang banging. Y'all, when I tell people this stuff, they be like, girl, you did what? Because it's so far from who I am. What I approve of. But I was really, you know, I didn't have my cousins that live on the opposite side. I was over there with them doing, you know what I'm saying? I was just doing bad shit. So once we moved to high school, I was like, you know what? I am going to be somebody that my mama don't have to be stressed out about. And then in that space, oh my God, I fucked up, y'all, because it just transitioned to every other aspect. Like, I don't want nobody to be complaining about this and da, 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 da. So I went into that space of trying to prove myself to everybody and really kind of lost grip on what my real reality was. And it was, I was like, and once I think I told you this one day, I was like, what did I tell you one day? I was like, I'll never do that again because I felt like I lost my voice.
Yes, like, you lost yourself. You lost yourself.
I say my voice because literally everybody's like, you know, what you said? Oh, well, you know, people were so offended, but that's also my power. When I talk to people, like, you know, people always feel like, oh, Jasmine, I always hear this, like, you're a really good listener. Like, you're really good. Like, I could talk to you about stuff. Thank you for explaining it to me that way. I feel like that comes from me being more aware now that I have been able to regain that strength. It's like, okay, say what you got to say, but be careful how you say it. Because back then I didn't realize, really how things were coming off. I was just saying whatever came to my brain. So
I think for you, that was accurate. I have seen you grow because I definitely knew the gang banging you for sure. I think in a sense you still are who you are though. But
yes.
Now that you have grown, and I can now trace that back with you, I can now have that understanding of why you will negate not to see certain things. Because sometimes I used to be like on the other end, like, best friend, what the fuck? You don't see this shit? Look at this shit, bitch. I know you see this shit.
And I'm like, girl. Yeah, girl. Girl, you right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So now I can relate it. Like, damn, we at the time while going through it, we didn't realize how significant. Well, I didn't realize, just being your friend, how significant those changes were to you. You know what I'm saying? And how, you know what I'm saying? But I could, now that you've explained it, I could definitely understand that. So with all of that being said, and now that you've explained that and we've discussed that, do you feel that can provide some type of healing in a way of how you can try to work on it now? Because you said previously, before we had that conversation, that, it's just getting there.
But I don't
you're
think
not there yet.
There. Like that part of what I just explained, I'm already aware of that. But it's the what those things did elsewhere that I haven't discovered. Like it's a deeper level to that stuff. You know what I mean?
Of course.
I feel like that's what I haven't tapped in. Like, yeah, everything I just told you, no, I've already did that. Like, but that doesn't really touch the surface of the actual guarding wall that I'm talking about. And that's the sad part.
But do you think that it stems where the parts that you're not aware that it affected? Do you think that started at a much younger phase for you, where you had an immature mind and you may have saw things that you should not have seen, and that it could be that those effects are so embedded into the subconscious from your environment? Do you feel that has a contribution to it?
Absolutely. Because again, I told you, like, the wall that I'm aware of is the one I built in high school, but that wasn't the first wall. Remember I said that was a wall that was already somewhere, it was already a wall there. And then I just laid my own wall up against that one. So it's like, that's the one that I'm like,
you need to break through. That's the blockage you need to basically break through.
That's the one that I need to do when I take this meditation trip. I told you that one day I want to do a silence retreat. And I don't know what that will be, but it's gonna be,
It's definitely gonna be. I told you I wanted to do a well-being retreat. I want to go to one that they be having, where they be having like the people play like the Native American drums, and you do a certain activity, and just those things to connect us back to the earth and just the original source of self. Because at the end of the day, all of these components in which we are talking about is ego, environment that shaped us to who we are, our 3D selves. So once we fully break those things and become comfortable with being uncomfortable and getting into that realm of things, it'll be that balance and it'll cause alignment.
Correct. But this one that I'm talking about is, I think Lapita was doing an interview and she spoke about it when she did the movie Us. Is the movie called Us? Where they have
her damn thing. Yes, she did her damn thing.
That movie, oh my gosh. But yes, she was saying that she had to go on a silence retreat for like 7 days to clear her mind. So the entire retreat is nonverbal.
Ooh.
And so I forgot what day she said it was on, but I don't know if it was like the third or fourth day. It was like that started to be not necessarily her breaking point, but her breakthrough point where she was able, it was just some of those things. It's like everyone is silent. She was like the color code pattern is very neutral. Everybody, you have this neutral set of coloring that you have to wear. And so what it does is really stop any other vibration to enter what is your vibration. You know what I mean? So and they did like hot yoga, but everything, like they did activities, but everything was silent. The colors
We need to do that. We
yes.
definitely need to do that. I would love to do that.
I
Talk
was
about
like, oh
breakthrough.
shit. That's what I was
Talk
saying
about
when she was talking
breakthrough.
about it. I was like, oh my God. That'll be a good one. But yeah, I want to do one of those. Because could you imagine days of silence? A week.
It'll cause you to really face some things about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the activities with it is beneficial, but it'll cause you to face some things about yourself. And not to bring this up, but it just made me think about in the negative light what solitary confinement does. You have no choice but to be in the present in your thoughts. I mean, that just contributes it to a different way of negativity because you can't go out, you can't release it into the earth, you can't do activities like that, you can't stretch it out, you can't be amongst other people, but just in that place of exactly in light, just in that place of silence, it causes you to be in the present moment with your thoughts. You get to realize how positive you are, how negative you are. I mean, in a circumstance like that, the master has done such a number on the oppressed that, it causes you have no choice but to be negative in that circumstance. But in the other light, where you're doing kind of like a silence retreat, it forces you to have to face certain things about yourself, demons, lights, all of that, establish that, and then move forward from that after letting that go. Because you ain't talking to nobody. You really can't get too distracted with not talking.
Amen.
We need to definitely
silence
do that.
my ass. I'll be in there.
Yeah, you probably start crying out of nowhere. Facts. A person will probably start because you talking to yourself. You know how the inner thoughts be?
Girl.
You talking to yourself. Them inner thoughts be crucial.
That's what I'm saying. I would have to, they got to give me a soundproof room, bitch. But yeah, I definitely feel like that's something, actually, I feel like that's something we could do together with a group of our lady friends.
That's something, that'd be something that I would want to do for my birthday. That's something like on the Vermont level that I told you, because that's really what I want to go for. I just want to go for just to be in the earth, have nice lighting, be able to see some mooses, some animals, nature in the woods, you in the earth. You ain't got no choice but to be in it. And that should do a little something different to you.
Yes. I could do without the moose, but I'll be okay with some horses.
But I in Vermont, they have wild. Yeah, they have like wild. I think they have wild moose in Vermont.
Possibly. I don't really know where moose live, to be quite honest. But yeah, that'll definitely.
I know they're in Alaska for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyways, well, it's been good convo.
What are some things we taking back from it?
Yes, that's exactly what I was about to say. Definitely for me, what I would say my self-homework from this one, I'm gonna give myself homework on this one, is the same homework that I had last episode, y'all. But I'm gonna stay consistent within my work and just try to push myself forward that uncomfortable space to where I can be more comfortable with my realities of certain things.
I think that's a good one. For me, I think some of the things that I could take back would be the aspect of comfortability and consistency and control. How those things are so thinly spread out. If
That's
that makes sense. And just working on that. And some questions that can be posed is, where does that fear from uncomfortability come from?
yes, very much so. Great question. We can definitely pose that. Well, we look forward to hearing how you guys felt. I want to say this, we have been getting so much positive feedback. And I think I know that we're collectively so happy about that. Everybody has been able to take something different, give us different feedback on different things. So yay. Thank you to you guys.
Thank you to you guys. We love it. Again, this is just something that's natural for us. And we hope that y'all taking gems from it like we do, just having these mindful conversations. So always and forever, until next time.